Hashtag supercharge your Instagram marketing with hashtags. Hashtag don't get restricted. What's up guys, Jason here, aspiring entrepreneur, and in this video we're going to be talking about 3 things you need to know when using Instagram hashtags to increase engagement and grow your audience. And make sure you stick around till the end of the video because I'm actually going to debunk a common misconception about how to use hashtags, and you definitely want to avoid this like the plague because it's going to cause your account to get restricted, and it's a common thing that all the gurus are telling us to do, and it's just not a good idea. Before I dive into that, we need to cover the first 2. So the first one has to do with your tags itself. What hashtags do you use? How do you know which ones to use? How do you know which ones are good? How do you know which ones are going to get engagement? How do you know which ones are just going to take up space or be irrelevant to the type of content you're doing? So there's 2 ways to do your hashtag research. The long way and then the not so long way. So there's definitely no big shortcut here. You really need to go do some groundwork to be successful long term and really diving into your niche and making that audience engagement and connection that you need to skyrocket your Instagram following. So the first way to do your hashtag research is to look at some accounts in your space that are on the smaller side. So a few thousand followers versus the 100,000 followers, because what you'll find is when you go to the 100,000 followers, a lot of them you won't see their hashtags, either because they don't have to use them anymore because they're so big, or they're only going to use a couple in their caption, or they're using a software. I'm not sure, as of this video, there's still a software out there that allows you to hide them, using a software to hide them, or they're just deleting their hashtags later on down the road. So for whatever their fancy reason is, you'll want to go to smaller accounts, a couple thousand followers, maybe even 10 or 30,000 followers, to see what hashtags they're using and just make a list. I just spent a Friday afternoon. I went through a bunch of different accounts in my space and I went through and copied all their hashtags. I threw them into an Excel sheet. I got really nerdy. I looked at which ones were common, which ones were unique, and I was able to pull out a lot of hashtags, and my posts have got great engagement even though I have a very, very small follower base. And I've been able to grow that follower base like by 5x over the past 2 weeks just through the hashtag strategies that I'm going to be talking about here. So it definitely works, and putting in the work definitely will pay off. And then number 2, you can go to something for tagsforlikes.com or tophashtags.com. So links in the description, of course. And these, what they do is they aggregate popular hashtags. But I do want to warn you that it's not a good idea to just go with these, right? You will find some irrelevant hashtags, even if you're looking at hashtags for your specific niche. And in number 3, I'm going to talk about why you really, really need to find niche hashtags to target, and not just go after the big ones, because it's going to be really hard to get your post seen and really stand out from the crowd and say, hey, look at me, when you're using the same hashtag that literally everybody else is using. It just gets cluttered, and then you're not going to get on that coveted Instagram page for a hashtag. Hashtags show the top 9 posts when people search, and that's really what you want to aim for when you're using hashtags. So there's just a quick rundown of how to find your hashtags. Then number 2, we're going to talk about how to deploy your hashtags. How do you actually use them? And this is a mistake a lot, and I mean a lot, of us aspiring Instagrammers are making, and that is put your hashtags in your comments. Don't push your don't put your hashtags in your caption, right? Because when you put them in your comments, a couple of things happens. Number 1, it allows your image in your caption to stand on its own, right? So when someone looks at it and they click, if there's more in your caption, they click more, all they see is content, right? They're not going to be inundated with all the different hashtags you're trying to use to reach people. So that's number 1. And then, of course, number 2, the comment can actually be hidden and eventually deleted. So, in a couple of weeks, Instagram posts normally only have 4 to 6 hour lifespan anyway. So you can go back and delete the comments, and then when someone goes and starts looking at your account, like you see on those bigger accounts, it looks a lot cleaner. Your post will look a lot cleaner when you don't have a bunch of hashtags attached to them. However, you need the hashtags to get that exposure, to get that reach. And so it's a great way to get that exposure, get that reach, and then, a week or two later, whittle down the hashtags or just take some of the hashtags, take the hashtags completely away. And now all of your posts look really squeaky clean. Now, one thing I forgot to mention with number one is you want a list of about 30 to 40 hashtags, but you don't want to be using that many when you're posting. We'll get into that in number three, how many you should actually be using. And if you've ever wondered why people put their hashtags in their captions, sometimes you'll see their caption and then they'll do like space, 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 and then all the hashtags are down here, and you're like, what's up with that? Well, that's probably because they're using something like Hootsuite or Buffer to help schedule their posts. So you can't really automate the posting process, but you can streamline it in some ways. And some people, they're just lazy, right? They don't want to take the extra time, the extra 10 seconds to put the hashtags in their comment section, or they're just having a automated piece of software. I'm sorry, there's one left. An automated piece of software, just push it out, and they just want the hashtags to be in there. So don't fall into that trap. Instagram looks at that, and it's tisk tisk for your growth, right? Instagram does not like seeing that. You need to put your hashtags in your comments. And I actually go in depth to everything Instagram marketing in a free webinar I've put together for you guys. So when you're done watching this video, go ahead and click on the link in the description below, and we dive really, really deep into hashtag research, which hashtags to use, and arguably most importantly, how to properly deploy and implement hashtags so that you don't get restricted, which is number three. So make sure, keep watching. I'm gonna go into how you can avoid getting restricted. This is something that's huge that nobody talks about. And so this is where I'm going to get a little rough on some other people and their advice out there, because I got slapped in the face the other day because I did not know this. Now, it's one of those things when you have a problem and you look it up, then you realize how many other people have it. But I want to prevent this for you. So here's where things get a little tricky. When you're posting to your Instagram account, you don't want to do 30 hashtags. I know there's a lot of advice out there that says do 30 hashtags, do 20 to 30 hashtags, max it out. Really, I would say don't do more than 15. And here's the reason why. Look at it this way. All of those hashtags are supposed to represent what your post is. It's supposed to help Instagram know what the heck your photo is. If you continually use 20 to 30 hashtags and Instagram serves your photos to people, and then when they're searching those hashtags and they don't engage with it, it tells Instagram you're giving it bad data, right? And Instagram does not want bad data. So here's what will happen. You can actually get your account restricted to the point where you can't make comments anymore. You won't be allowed to make any comments. You'll just be allowed to like photos, and then you'll be stuck putting all of your hashtags in your caption, which we talked about is not something you want to do. And because when Instagram sees that, they know to limit your reach even further. So when you're experimenting with your hashtags, please, please, please don't spam them, all right? Go really niche. Go really researched. Yes, it's going to be a little less reach, if you don't add motivational or entrepreneur or hustle and grind to every single post you make. However, you want relevancy, right? You want Instagram to know that you are taking the time to tell it the right hashtags to use, and you're providing content that people actually want to engage with. Because at the end of the day, that's why you're posting. You're posting to engage. You're not posting to just get a bunch of random followers, right? You want people to engage with you. We've all seen the accounts where you go, they have 21 million followers and their latest post only had 1,000 likes. You just go, what is up with that? What's going on with that? And it's immediately apparent to anyone in your space when they go to your profile and they see there's a huge disconnect between the number of likes you get and the followers. So again, it's all about engagement. Engagement, engagement, engagement. Hashtags are about getting the right people to your content so they like it, engage with it, and then they follow you. It's not about just blasting out, some inspirational quote to as many thousand people as possible and then just hoping a couple of them, stick around or whatever, because those types of people, they're not in your niche, right? So when you go and post a promotion, you go and post an offer, they go, oh, this guy's just a spammer. And then you just lost the follower. You did all that work for pretty much nothing, right? So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you found it actionable and informative. You know, this is the top 3 things you should be looking at when leveraging hashtags to increase your engagement and following on Instagram. So if you got some value out of this video, go ahead and hit that like button and then subscribe, because over on my YouTube channel, I'm going from A to Z and everything in between on how to put together an online business from scratch. And Instagram marketing is just a small piece of the bigger puzzle of growing your audience, growing your brand, and of course, increasing your income as a result. So I encourage you to hit that like and subscribe button and join myself and other fellow aspiring entrepreneurs on this crazy journey of figuring out digital marketing and growing our businesses and incomes. So until the next video, make sure you click the link below to check out the free Instagram webinar. And until the next video, keep building the business you love. Take care.